Hello, everybody, and welcome. Today, we are going to do a quick run through a 7th grade semester 1 midterm review. So, on that, let's dive right into it. Okay, our first question. For 1 month, 4 trees at a nursery increased in height at rates shown below. List in order from least to greatest. Okay, from least to greatest, we need to be thinking of our number line, where we have negatives way over here and positives way out here. So our negatives, we have a negative 13% and negative 5. So which one is smaller or least or more negative? Well, negative 5 is going to be least, as remember percents are over 100. So we can think of this negative 13% as negative 13 over 100. And this number is negative, but it's really close to 0. So we're going to have then negative 13%. And then what are our next numbers? We have 1/9, square root of 3, and pi. And 1/9, well, this is a fraction that is greater than 0 but less than 1. Then we have square root of 3, and we know square root of 4 is 2, and so we know that square root of 3 is a tiny bit below 2, so that's going to be next, square root 3. And then we know pi is equivalent to 3.14, so our greatest value here is pi. So here are our numbers in order from least to greatest. All right, number 2. Use the table on the right to order the depths of the bird from least to greatest. So again, we are talking about the depths of these birds. So as if we have, some water, as we go deeper or we get more negative, that's the greater value. So this question's kind of backwards in that the smallest number is going to be the greatest depth. Okay, so these are all negatives. Let's change them to decimals. Negative 10/4, well, that's going to be 2 and 2/4, which is 2 and 1/2, or 2.5. And then we have negative 1 1/4, which is negative 1.25. Okay, if we put it as a decimal. So if we order these, well, they're actually already in order. We see that our greatest depth is negative 2.6, and then it's going to be the negative 10/4, which we found to be 2.5, and then it's negative 1 1/4 and negative 1.125. Okay. Number 3. There are 4 students working on an assignment in class. Mike has completed 1/9 of the assignment. Gwen has completed 14% of the assignment. Jorge has completed 0.13 of the assignment. And Ty has completed 1/6 of the assignment. Write the students in order from least to greatest by the amount of the assignment that they have completed. Okay, so remember that 14% percents are just over 100. So 14% is 14 over 100, or 14 hundredths. So this is a tiny bit more than 0.13. 1/9, well, remember for ninths, 1/9 is 0.1 repeating, 2/9 is 0.2 repeating, 3/9 is 0.3 repeating. So 1/9 is 0.111 forever, 0.1 repeating. And then 1/6, I don't know that off the top of my head, I'll be honest, but we can always divide the fraction and figure it out. So if you want to convert a fraction to a decimal, you just divide it like this. How many times does 6 go into 1? It goes in 0 times. Put a decimal, add a 0. How many times does 6 go into 10? It goes in 1 time. Subtract 6, bring down another 0. How many times does 6 go into 40? It goes in 6 times. Then you have a 36. And we can stop here because we can already see that 1/6 is greater than all the rest of these. So if we put these people in order from least to greatest, the least is going to be the 1/9, which is Mike. So Mike is least with 1/9. And then we have Jorge at 0.13. So next is Jorge at 0.13. Then we have Gwen at 14%. Gwen. And then we have Ty, who has done 1/6 of the assignment. So there it is, put it in order from least to greatest. Okay, again, put these in order. So I'm going to start with 0 and put that straight in the middle. And then I'm going to look at all of my negatives. So we have the ones I'm underlining are negatives. Okay, so what is negative 11/5? Well, that is 2 1/5. If we put it as a mixed number, negative 2 1/5. And then we have a question of what is square root of 6. That's going to be larger than 2. Absolute value is larger than 2. But is it, and 1/5 is what? 1/5 is 0.2. So 2 1/5 is negative 2.2. Okay. So how do you approximate square roots? That's our question here. Approximating square root of 6. Okay, so if I'm thinking about this, we know that square root of 4 is 2, and we know that square root of 9 is 3. Okay, what's the distance between 4 and 9? There are 5 places between 4 and 9. We have square root of 5, square root of 6, square root of 7, square root of 8, and then square root of 9. And so these are each about a quarter. So square root of 5 is going to be about 2 1/4. Square root of 6 is about 2 1/2. Or I'm sorry, they're each about not a quarter, but 0.2. Square root of 5 is going to be about 2.2. Square root of 6 is about 2.4. Square root of 7, about 2.6. Square root of 8, 2.8. And then square root of 9, as we know, to be 3. Now, this isn't an exact science, but this is a good approximation. So I'm going to take negative square root of 6 to be about negative 2.4. And we can see that that is the largest of our negatives. So I'm going to erase some of this to give us some more space. Okay, so I'm going to say our most negative value is square root of 6, and then we have negative 11/5, and then we have negative 2. So mark these out. Our last negative is negative 1 1/3. Okay, now on to the positives. Well, our largest one, it's pretty apparent. You should see square root 9 and know that that's 3, and we don't see anything that's greater than 3 here. Then we have a square root of 2. We have a 2.2. 2.2 is next. Square root of 2 and 1.65. These are our close ones. These are what we have to think about. And then lastly, we have 1. So we'll just put down 1, and then square root of 2 and 1.65. Definitely don't know what square root of 2 is off the top of my head. But wow, you 7th graders have it hard for sure. Having to figure out the approximation of square root of 2. Okay. Well, let's think about it this way. 1.5 squared is going to be 2.25. I'm sorry about that. Excuse me. Okay, so square root of 2 is going to be less than 1.5, as 1.5 squared is already above the 2 mark. So 1.65 is going to be greater than square root of 2. And square root of 2 is going to be about 1.4. And we know that because 1.4 squared is 1.96, which is really close to 2. All right, so there we had it. We just ordered all of these. I hope that was helpful. Next, we have this. Estimate the following square roots to the nearest 10th. Okay, we've talked a little bit about this. I'm going to start with, let's go ahead and start with number 6, since we already kind of did it earlier. You're going to be thinking about what 2 square roots is this root between? Well, and we know square root of 4 is 2. We know square root of 9 is 3. And then we just need to think about how many numbers are between the two. What's the difference between 9 and 4? The difference between 9 and 4 is 5. So that means square root of 5, we have square root of 5, square root of 6, square root of 7, square root of 8. And I hope you can follow this. If you can't, let me know down in the comments. I'll try to explain it to you better. But this is kind of tricky. I'm doing this on the whim. I hope this is helpful. So square root of 5 is 1/5 of the way to the 9th. Okay? It's 1/5 of the way from square root of 4 to square root of 9. And 1/5 is 0.2. So I'm going to say square root of 5 is approximately 2.2. And it's approximately 2 because square root of 4 is 2, and then approximately the 0.2 because it's 1/5 of the way from square root of 4 to square root of 9. Okay? Oh, excuse me. Okay, 178, number 5. Again, we know the square root of 169 to be 13, and the square root of 196 to be 14. And what's the distance between 169 and 196? The distance between those two is 27. Okay? This tells me that every 2.7 we go up will be about 1/10 added to the square root. Excuse me. I'm going to grab a water. Oh my goodness. 1 second. Thank you. All right. Thank you for your patience and everything. So 178, that's 9 more. That's 9 away from 169. Okay. So that's 9/27 of the way to the next square root. 9/27 is 1/3. Okay. And 1/3 is 0.33333. So I'm going to round down to the nearest 10th, and I'm going to say 178 is approximately 13.3. Okay, so 13.3 would be my answer here. 2.2 is my answer here. And then for 99, well, this is 1 under 100. So the approximate square root for this one will be 9.9. That one is more straightforward. Okay, convert the following fractions into decimals and round to the nearest hundredth. So 1/3, this is 0.3 repeating. If you put it to the nearest hundredth, it would be 0.0 or 0.33. Dang, something, I have a frog in my throat or something. Again, thank you for bearing with me. Okay, 11/15, working these backwards a little bit. Again, to divide fractions, you'll put it like this, and then you divide as normal. How many times does 15 go into 11? It doesn't. So put a 0, add your decimal, add another 0. How many times does 15 go into 110? Let's count. 15, 30, 60, 90, 105 is 7. Subtract. Bring down another 0. How many times does 15 go into 50? Goes in 3 times. We have 5 left over. Subtract, bring down another 0. Be 0.33 repeating. It just asks for the nearest hundredth. And since the next value is less than 5, we'll stop here. So our answer is 0.73. For 8/13, we divide as normal. 13 goes into 8, 0 times. 13 goes into 80. How many times? 13, 26. If you double 26, you get 52. So 4 times 13 is 52. 5 is 65. 7 is 78. Okay. Subtract. Bring down another 0. 13 goes into 20 one time. Subtract. Bring down another 0. And then here we have a 5. So this rounds up. Goodness me. Goodness me. So we went to the thousandths place. We see it's a 5. So rounding to the nearest hundredth, we'll round this up to 0.72. And that's our answer for 8/13. Okay. 11, 12, and 13. Put this inequality symbol. So square root of 17. Again, we know square root of 16 to be 4. We know square root of 25 to be 5. Oh my goodness. I didn't think I would have a coughing fit while filming this video. I'm sorry, guys. Hope that's okay with you. So there's a distance of 9 between these two. So square root of 17 is going to be approximately 4.1. It might, and it's definitely 9 halves is 4.5, and it's definitely less than 4.5. So 9 halves is greater than this. This is wow. This is the exact same value as 11, notice that. And then square root of 9 is 3, so greater. Okay. Put the following number in order on the number line. Let's again start with our negatives. we have negative 27, or square root of 27. I'm going to circle them all. Okay. So these are actually much more straightforward. This is negative 7 1/5. That's wow. Wow. Crazy cough. Wow, I'm sorry. Okay, so that's clearly the most negative. So negative 36/5. Okay. Square root of negative 27, or negative square root of 27. That's going to be a little bit more than 5. Then we have negative 4.23 and negative 1/7. Okay. For our positive values, 16/6, this is 2 4/6, or 2 2/3. Don't forget this 3. Square root of 52, that's 7 point something, let's just say 2. Then we have pi. Wow. I guess this is the most I've talked in a while, but still surprised. So our only fraction is first, that's 5/6. And then do we have anything smaller than pi, 3.14? We have this 2.1. And then we have pi. Oh, we have this 2 2/3. That's going to go between the two. Here we'll just erase pi. So we have 2 2/3. Or that was 16/6 if you need to leave it as that. And then we have pi. Oh, we have 3. I keep missing stuff. Okay, we have 3. Then we have pi. And then we have square root of 52. Okay, this was the first section of the midterm. I'm going to try to feel a little bit better, and then I will continue on and film the rest of this. Thank you, guys. Hello, everybody. Okay, taking a little bit of a break. I have a throat lozenge. Hopefully that will help. We just finished rational number of relationships, part 1. Let's go on to part 2, rational number operations. So here, number 1, we're just adding these fractions, 3/8 plus 2/5. We have to, have a common denominator. The simplest common denominator is 40. 8 times 5 is 40. So 3 times 5 is 15. So this is 15 40ths. 5 times 8 is 40. 2 times 8 is 16. So this is 31 40ths. Okay. Adding these numbers over here, we'll just line them up. 9 plus 8, 17, carry your 1. 5 plus 7 is 12, plus 1 is 13. 3 plus 1 plus 1 is 5, and then 2. So 253.87. Okay, we're subtracting. 6.89. Line it up. Bottom number is bigger, so we're borrowing. Borrow from the 2, make that a 1. 14 minus 9 is 5. 1 minus 8, can't do that. Bottom number is bigger, so we're borrowing. Can't borrow from a 0, so this becomes a 9. 11 minus 8 is 3. 9 minus 6 is 3. So 3.35. Okay. Here we are multiplying. There's a few ways to do this one. You can think of it as 12 times 5, or 12.25 times 5. That might be a little bit easier. Oh my goodness gracious. That would be 61.25 if it was times 5. And then we need to subtract a piece of it. But let's not deal with that. Let's just multiply it normally. We have 12.25 times 4.9. 9 times 5 is 45. 18 plus 4 is 22. 9 times 2 is 18, plus 2 is 20. 9 times 1 is 9, plus 2 is 11. Add your placeholder 0. 4 times 5 is 20. 4 times 2 is 8, plus 2 is 10. 4 times 2 is 8, plus 1 is 9. 4 times 1 is 4. Make sure you add everything up, lined up straight. Okay, and then 3 decimal places. 60.025. Okay, number 5. Here we are dividing. So we have 12.6 divided by 2.5. So we don't like dividing by decimals, so we're going to move our decimal over on both of these. And now we have like 25 divided into 126 kind of thing. So how many times does 25 go into 126? It goes in 5 times. You get 125. You subtract, you have 1 left over. Put your decimal. And, or you have remainder 1, or, okay, we'll just add a 0, bring it down. 25 goes into 10, 0 times. Add another 0, bring it down. 25 goes into 100, 4 times. So when you divide these, you get 5.04. Okay. And of course, to finish off the homework, you would subtract the 100 and you get 0. Okay. This was the answer to number 4. Number 6, 3/4 divided by 1/2. So dividing is the same as multiplying by your reciprocal. So that means this is 3/4 times 2 over 1. This is the same thing. And this equals 6/4. You just multiply across. And this is 1 2/4, or 1 1/2. Okay. So here we need to fill out this table. So 19/20. If we make this with 100 in the denominator, we would be multiplying by 5 and we'd have 95 hundredths. So our decimal is just that, 95 hundredths. And as a percent, this is 95%. Anything over 100, that's its percent form. Oh my goodness gracious. Okay. So how do you go from decimals to percents? You just move the decimal over twice. So for 3.4, you move it over twice, you pretend you have a placeholder 0, move it over twice. So this is 340%. 3.4 is 340%. And then what is this as a fraction? Well, remember, percents are just that number over 100. So this is 340 over 100. Or you can think of this as 3 and 40 over 100. And this, of course, simplifies further. This is 4/10, which is 2/5. So this is 3 and 2/5. And then if you wanted it as an improper fraction, I'm not sure how you guys want your answer, but improper fractions, 5 times 3 is 15 plus 2 is 17. So this is 17/5. So here you have all different sorts of fractions, the mixed number fraction and the improper fraction. Okay, and then lastly, 17.7%. Okay, 17.7%, well, you just put that over 100 and you have it as a fraction, but you can't have a decimal in a fraction, okay? So you just move the decimal over, but that means you add a 0 down here. So this is 177 thousandths. And what did I just say? I said 177 thousandths. How do you write that as a decimal? Well, you have the tenths, hundredths, thousandths. This is 177 thousandths, okay? So this is that as a fraction, this is it as a decimal. Okay, very good. Let's move on. Or I'm gonna take a quick water break again. Okay, I'm back again. Thank you guys so much for being patient with me. I'm feeling a little bit under the weather, but I want to put this video out because I have some students who need this immediately, so I'm trying to get it done for them. Okay, Molly has 12.5 pounds of flour in a container. She also has a bag with 0.925 pounds of flour in it. If Molly combines the flour, how much will be in the container? So here we're adding. Okay, and what are we adding? It's just 12.5 plus 0.925. Just line up your decimals, okay? That's just the key. Don't make careless mistakes. So she has 13.0, or I'm sorry. No, that's right. She has 13.425 pounds. Okay. Number 9. A diver dove to a location 8 1/5 meters below the sea. He then ascended 6.25. How many meters below the sea did he end up? Okay. So he went down 8 1/5, and then he went up 6 2/5. So he went down 8 1/5, and then up 6 2/5. If we had a number line, and 0 is sea level, then we went down. We went into the negatives, negative 8 1/5. And then we're swimming up back to 0 plus 6 2/5, going back up here. So how close to 0 are we getting to? Okay. Well, what's the distance between these two values? 8. So that would be 1 4/5. Okay. Yep. When you add this, you'll be at -1 4/5. What was my operation for this problem? Okay. My operation is, and again, so we have -8 1/5 plus 6 2/5. Okay, if we wanted it as a decimal, this is -8.2 plus 6.4. Okay. And what does this equal? This equals 1.8. Negative 1.8. So he's still down 1.8 meters. Okay. Number 10. 2/5 feet are cut off a board that is 3 5/7 feet long. How long is the remaining part of the board? Okay, so we need a common denominator. Our common denominator is going to be 35. 2 times 7 is 14. So 2/5 is 14 35ths. And 3 5/7, that's going to be 3 25 35ths. So if we are subtracting 14 35ths, we will be left with 3 11 35ths. So 3 11 35ths are what we have remaining. We are subtracting 14 35ths from 3 25 35ths. Okay. Number 11, at midnight in Fairbanks, the temperature was -38, and then by noon, the temperature had dropped 30 degrees, so another 30 degrees. What was the temperature at noon? So at midnight, the temperature was -38. So this is midnight. And then by noon, so 12 hours later, the temperature had dropped 30 degrees. Well, if it dropped 30 degrees, it would be minus another 30, so it would be -68. Is that what it's telling me? Okay. So I'm going to go with that. It doesn't logically make too much sense in my mind, so if I miss something on this one, comment down below. But if you have a temperature at -38 degrees and then it drops 30 degrees, you're going to be subtracting 30 more. And so that will take us to -68. Number 12. Andre went hiking near his house. The first trail he hiked on took him 4.5 miles from his house. The second trail he hiked on took 2.4 miles closer. The third trail took him 1.7 further. How far was he after all this hiking? Okay. So this dude has a house, and he went 4.5 miles away. Okay. And then he went back 2.4 miles closer. And then he went again 1.7 further. So, what is all this? So we have 4.5 minus 2.4. What's that? That's 2.1. And then we're going to be adding 1.7 to get 3.8. So he is 3.8 miles from his house. Okay, the submarine dives into the sea at a rate of 50 feet per hour. How long would it take the submarine to reach negative 300 feet? So this would take 6 hours, but let's just map it out. We have negative 50 and then minus 50 more, then minus 50 more, and then each 50 is, we're told, takes 1 hour. So it takes from 0 to 50, 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour, 4 hour, 5 hour, 6 hours. So this takes 6 hours. You have 9 bags of books. If each bag weighs 4.56 pounds, how many pounds do all of the bags weigh together? Okay, so this is 4.56. If each bag weighs that much and you have 9 of them, we're going to be multiplying by 9. 9 times 6 is 54. 9 times 5 is 45, plus 5 is 50. 9 times 4 is 36, plus 5 is 41, and then we have our decimal, so don't forget it. 41.04 is our total weight in pounds. Okay, you have 7 boxes of shoes that weigh 10.5 pounds total. How much does each box of shoe weigh? Okay, this is the opposite. We have our weight to be 10.5, and we have 7 boxes, but we want to find the unit price, so we're going to be dividing. 7 goes into 10 one time, subtract. 7 goes into 35 5 times, so each box weighs 1.5 pounds. Okay, very good. That was part 2, or unit 2. Now we're on to unit 3, equations and inequalities. Very good. Unit 2 was pretty easy. I hope you guys are feeling confident about these tests. These problems are just going to get harder as we go, because this semester is progressing. Unit 1, while I was having a coughing fit the whole time, hopefully you still got it and I explained it well enough for you to follow. Unit 2 was really the same as Unit 1, just with some more division. So let's look at Unit 3, equations and inequalities. Okay, Val rented a bike while she was on vacation. She paid a flat rental fee of $55. Okay, so we're going to be writing an equation. So she paid $55 plus she paid $8.50 times every day she had the bike. The total cost was $148.50. Write an equation, then use it to find the number of days she rented the bike. Okay, so she paid the flat $55, and then she paid $8.50 a day for a total of $148.50. So here's our equation, and then to solve for the number of days, this is just a basic algebra problem. We're going to subtract 55 from both sides. Minus 55, minus 55. Okay. So I'm running out of room. I can't write in this gray area, so I'm going to rewrite this part over here. Okay, 0 minus 0 is 0, 5 minus 0 is 5, 8 minus 5 is 3, and then 14 minus 5 is 9. So 93.50 is what we have after we subtract 55. Oops. Okay. Oh, I already forgot what I had. 93.50. Okay, 93.50. And then we're going to take 93.50 and do what with it? Well, we need to divide it by 8.50, the cost per day. So we have 93.50 divided by 8.50. And again, We don't like decimals, so we're just going to move it over. So how many times does 85 go into 93? It goes in one time. And then we are going to subtract, and we have 8 left over. Bring down your 5. 85 goes into 85 one time. And then we have our 0. So it's exactly 11. Exactly 11. So after we divide it, we see that she rented the bike for 11 days. Okay. Number 2, which situation can be represented by this equation? We have 340 plus 5x equals 650. So before I even read these answer choices, if we do something like number 1, we have a flat rate of 340, then we have a cost of $5 per day, and then our total cost after all said was done was $650. Okay, that would be an example. So which one of these, A, B, C, or D, kind of models that? So Sierra had a bucket that originally contained 340, and it's being drained at 5 liters per ounce. Okay, that's not going to work because we wouldn't. If it's being drained, why would we be adding this 5? So this doesn't make sense. So Sierra started with 650 in savings and then spends 5. Okay, that would mean 650 and the 5 would be on the same side of the equal sign, and it's not. So B is wrong. Sierra started with 340 cans of food. She collects 5 every day. What is X, the number of days she needs to pass in order to have a total of 650? Okay, that's exactly what we talked about. Okay, and let's just read D to make sure it's wrong. Sierra earns 345 points. Okay, why is it 345 whenever it's 340? So that's wrong. So C is our answer. Which of the following graphs describes this solution set? Okay, so we need to solve this inequality. So solving these is just like normal algebra. We're going to be adding 13 to both sides. Whenever we add, what's negative 45 plus 13? Negative 45 plus 13, that is going to be negative 32. So we have negative 4x is greater than or equal to negative 32. And then we're going to divide both sides by negative 4. Okay, and here's the tricky part. The trickiest thing about inequalities is to just remember that whenever you divide or multiply by a negative, it flips your inequality sign. So these cancel, and we have x is now less than or greater than 8. Okay, we flipped our sign. That's very important, and we did that because we divided by a negative. Okay, that's what you have to watch out for. So x is less than or equal to 8. So that's what A says. It's at 8 and it's less than it. Okay, if you didn't flip your sign, you might have chosen B, and that would be wrong, so you have to be really careful. Okay, number 4, your elementary school is having a fall carnival. Admission into the carnival is $3, and each game inside the carnival costs 25 cents. Write an inequality that represents the possible number of games that can be played having $10. What's the maximum games that can be played? So if you have $10, that means what? That means 10 is our maximum. So whatever we have has to be less than or equal to 10, and admission is $3, and then we have to pay 25 cents a game. So this is our equation. And then if we wanted to know the maximum number of games, we would solve our inequality. And how many quarters makes up $7? 7 times 4 is 28. Okay. So we can play no more than 28 games. That would be the solution. And I did that kind of in my head, but I'll leave it as an exercise to you to verify that this is in fact the answer. Okay, solve and graph the following. Okay. Excuse me, guys. Again, thank you so much for your patience with me and me not feeling 100% right now. So graph the following. So these graphs and solving these are really simple. We just have to remember to flip the sign if we divide or multiply by a negative. So first we're going to subtract 20. So this is negative 200 is greater than or equal to negative 2x. We divide by a negative 2. So that means we flip our sign and we have x is greater than or equal to 100. So we mark 100. It's greater than or equal to, so we have a closed dot, and x is greater than it, so we're going to the positive direction. That's what our graph looks like. Okay. This middle one, we'll be subtracting 14.43. 5 minus 3 is 2. Bottom number is bigger, so we borrow. 11 minus 4, 7. Put your decimal. 9 minus 4 is 5. 8 minus 1 is 7. Okay. So we have 2x is greater than 75.72. Now we need to divide by 2. So I'm going to go out to this white space and divide out here. So 75.72 divided by 2. We're dividing both sides by 2 to isolate the x, right? So 2 goes into 7 3 times. 2 times 3 is 6. We have 1 left over. Bring down your 5. 2 goes into 15 7 times. We have 1 left over. 2 goes into 17 8 times. We have 1 left over. 2 goes in 12 6 times. So 37.68 is what we get when we divide by 2. I kind of ended up doing some shorthand division here. If you haven't learned that, don't worry about it. Just divide this out by yourself and verify that I got the correct answer. Okay, so we have what? We found that x is greater than 37.86. So we just make a marking, 37.86. This is greater than. It's not greater than or equal to. It's just greater than. So that means we have an open circle, and it's greater than, so we're going to the positive direction with our arrow. Okay. So this third one. So the first thing I notice is that everything is over 1/7. So we can kind of just immediately cancel those out, and we just have, we can just be thinking of this problem as 1 minus z is greater than -3. And then what can we do? We can subtract 1 from both sides to have -z is greater than -4. And then we want to get rid of our negative sign. So we're going to multiply through by a -1, and we'll get that z is less than 4. Okay, because remember we flipped our sign when we multiplied by the negative. So if we graph this, we just have a marking at 4. It's less than, so it's going out to the left, and it's an open circle because it's not less than or equal to, it's just less than. All right, so there are those. Let's see number 6. Solve the following equation and graph it. Okay, so first we need to add 8 to both sides. We add 8 to both sides, we get -1/16 x is less than or equal to -4. So now we need to multiply both sides by negative 16. Okay, so when we multiply both sides by negative 16, we'll be left with x. We'll flip our sign to be greater than or equal to, and then negative 4 times negative 16 is going to be a positive value, and it's going to be 64. So x is greater than or equal to 64. And there we have it. Okay. And if it wasn't clear to you why we multiply by negative 16 here, it's because this fraction is negative 1/16th, and we want to get rid of this fraction. And how do we do that? Well, it's by multiplying by a negative 16. Negative 16 times negative 1/16, these will cancel, okay, and leave you with just your x. And what you do to one side, you have to do to the other. So, and negative 4 times negative 16 is positive 64. All right, number 7. Larry has $334, and Xbox One costs $199. Wow, if you can get an Xbox One for $199, let me know down in the comments, and I will be hitting you up before Christmas because I will take that Xbox One for $199. That would be amazing. Okay, let's get back to this problem. Okay, so he can get an Xbox One for $199, and he can purchase used games for $27 each. What is the greatest number of games Larry can buy if he also buys the Xbox One? Okay, so this is one of our inequalities. So we have $199 for the Xbox One plus $27 times the number of games. And this has to be less than or equal to the total amount of money he's willing to spend or has at $334. So to solve this problem, we're just going to subtract 199. Well, if we subtract 200, that would be 134. So this is 135. So we have $27 times the number of games has to be less than or equal to 135. And this is exactly 5. If you divide these, remember, I'm doing this in my head because I know 20 times 5 is 100, and I know 7 times 5 is 35, and if we add these together, you'll get 27 times 5 is 135. So he can buy at most 5 games. Okay, number 8, solve the equation x over 3 minus 6 equals 9 for the value of x. Okay, so we're going to add 6 to both sides. We have x over 3 equals 15. And now we're going to multiply both sides by 3 to get x equals 45. And you can plug it in to check it. 45 over 3 is 15. 15 minus 6 is 9. So that works. Okay, number 9. What value of x makes this equation true? So now we're just simply solving. So we're going to subtract 18 from both sides. We want to get rid of it. So we have 7x equals negative 47. Is that right? I don't think so, because that wouldn't be a no, that is right. Okay, negative 47. And so then we need to divide both sides by 7. And so these cancel, and so we're left with x equals negative 47 over 7. And if you wanted this as a mixed number, what would it be? Well, think of your multiples of 7. This is negative 6 is negative 6 and 5/7. Okay. What is the solution set for the inequality below? Number 10. So again, we're just solving this. So we're going to subtract 2 from both sides. So we have negative 3x is less than negative 9. And then we're dividing both sides by negative 3. Remember, we divided by a negative. If you divide or multiply an inequality by a negative, you flip your sign. So we're left with x is greater than positive 3 as the negatives cancel. So C is our answer. Okay, what value of y makes this equation true? So now we have y as our variable, but process still the same. We're going to subtract 1.4 from both sides. We have 12.0 so negative 6y equals 12.0. Now we're going to divide by negative 6 on both sides. And so we have y equals negative 2. Okay, if you need to bubble this in for whatever reason, you would bubble in the negative, and then you want the 2 that's right next to the decimal, and then we don't have any decimals, so you would just bubble it like that. Model and solve the following inequality. Okay, I'm not exactly sure how I would draw this. So let's solve it first. So we have 7x minus 3 is less than 11. So let's add 3 to both sides to get 7x is less than 14. Divide by 7 on both sides to get x is less than 2. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna let you guys draw this one. I really don't know what to do for a picture on this. But whenever you solve this, you get x is less than 2. So let me know down in the comments what you did for your picture here. I am curious. I don't know what to draw personally. Okay, number 13. The 19 members of a baseball team are trying to raise at least $1,249 to cover the traveling costs for a holiday tournament. If they have already raised $451, at least how much should each member still raise on average to meet the goal? Okay, so there's 19 members. Okay. So they need to raise a total of $1,249. So what they raise needs to be greater than or equal to that. They have already raised $451. This is what they have, but there's 19 of them, they each need to raise how much more. So 19 teammates times D, the number of dollars they need to reach their goal. This would be our inequality. 451 plus 19 times D, the number of dollars, needs to be this needs to be, the amount they raise needs to be greater than or equal to 1249. So the solution is what? Well, we just solve this problem as we solve every other problem. We're going to subtract 451 from both sides. 9 minus 1 is 8. Bottom number bigger, so you borrow. 14 minus 5 is 9. 1 minus 4, bottom number bigger, so you borrow. 11 minus 4 is 7. So we have 19 times the number of dollars needs to be greater than or equal to 798. So now we divide 798 by 19. Divided by 19. What's that? That's going to be 20 times 4 is 80. So 19 times 4 is 76. We have 3 left over. 19 goes into 38 too. So each player needs to raise at least 38 more dollars. Okay. What value of x makes the following equation true? 1/5 of x plus 5 is less than 19. Again, we just solved this as normal. Subtract 5 from each side. Have 1/5 of x is less than 14. Now we're going to multiply both sides by 5 to get rid of this fraction, 1/5. 14 times 5 is 70. So x needs to be less than 70 for this inequality to be true. Okay, maybe we could have drawn something like this for a model. That just seems complicated. Solve the following equations using algebra tiles, then solve algebraically. So 2x plus 1 equals 9. Okay, well, if I do something like this, I have 2x plus 1 equals 9 blocks of 1. You know, I'm all for drawing pictures, but sometimes I feel like drawing pictures is like this is just silly. Okay, we're going to subtract 1 from both sides, so we're going to mark them out. So we have 2 x's is equal to 8 1s, so each x equals 4 1s. Okay, right, and we had 2x plus 1 equals 9. We subtracted 1 on both sides to have 2x equals 8, and then we have x equals 4. Okay, what value of x makes the equation modeled below true? Well, I'm going to assume that this empty box is 1. And if you do that, we'll mark out 4 here, mark out 4 here. You have 2x left to make 2 1s. So x equals 1. A little bit confused on this number 16. If I, for whatever reason, did this one wrong, let me know. I did kind of assume that this empty block here was a 1. But let me know down in the comments if you're getting to this question and you're like, whoa, Griffin, that's not right. Let me know. I appreciate it. Okay, number 17. Kate's savings account has $18.25 more than twice of the money in Will's savings account. Okay. So Kate's equals 2 times Will's plus 1825. Okay. And she has 72.55. Okay. And we're just told that Kate doesn't need to be a variable. She has a total of 72.55. Okay, so write and solve an equation to match the, so here's our equation. We just wrote it as we were reading the question. And now to solve for Will's bank account, we're going to subtract 18.25. Okay, subtracting 18.25. And bottom number bigger, so we're borrow. 12 minus 8 is 4. 6 minus 1, 54. Okay, now 54.30. Then what are we going to do? Well, we subtracted 18.25 on both sides, so 54.30 equals 2 times Will's bank account. So now we need to take 54.30 and divide it by 2. Okay, and then what do we get? We get 27.15. So Will's bank account equals $27.15. Very good, guys. Very good. Look at that. We made it through Unit 3 onto Unit 4. So proud of us. Now that I feel like we're in a roll here, which is good. I was coughing in the beginning, but doing better now. So let's just keep on with it. Let's keep trugging along. This is a very long video. It's going to be a couple hours for a 7th grade semester 1 review, but hey, that's just what you got to do sometimes, I suppose. I didn't make this review. I got it from a 7th grader, so let's just keep on trugging along. What is the unit price for 1 pound of cheese if 1.2 pounds of cheese cost $11.25? Okay, now we're doing proportions. We're doing proportions, guys. Okay. So 1.24 is to 11.25 as 1 is to x. So what's the unit price? How do we do this? Well, you cross multiply and divide. So with proportions, the diagonals, when multiplied, equal one another. So 1 times 11.25 is 11.25, and this equals 1.24x. And then to find the value of x, aka our unit price, we will now divide these. And if you have to do this by hand, like me, well, I guess it's good practice, but it is definitely tedious. Okay, we're going to move our decimal over a couple times. Wow. So, wow. Is this 8 or 9? Well, times 10 would be 1240. Okay, I think it's times 8. Okay. 124 times 8. 8 times 4 is 32. 16, 19. 8, 9. 992. Subtract. You get 3. 12, 3. Oh, no, it's 9. Okay. So let's erase all of this. Let's clean it up. So again, we have 1125 divided into 124. And what is 124 times 9? 9 times 4 is 36. 18, 19, 20, 21. 9, 10, 11. So this is 11, 16. And then this is just 9 left over. So we have 9 point. So bring down a 0. And then bring down another 0. So 124 goes into 900. Hopefully that's an even 5 times. Are we so lucky that 124 times 5 is this value? Or no, it wouldn't be 5. That'd be 620. Okay, let's try 7. 124 times 7. This isn't going to be here. Guys, don't hate me. I'm pulling out a calculator. I want to see how crazy this decimal is. Wow. Yeah, this is a crazy decimal. 7 is the closest to it. And then it's 9.07 258.06452. So we are not going to do all that. We're going to say our unit price is, how about we do this? We subtract, we have 9 left over. Oops. We have 9 remain, so we have 9 and 9 124ths. Perfect. There we go, guys, and there we go. That's our answer. That's our remainder, and we just put it over our divisor as our mixed number. Perfect. Perfect. Screw that forever long decimal. Do it like this. Way better. If you have to divide that out for whatever class you're in, I'm sorry. That's ridiculous, especially for 7th graders, and especially if you don't have a calculator. But life goes on. Let's see what this next one is. So an object travels 4/5 miles in half an hour. What's the speed in miles per hour? Okay, so it goes 4/5 in 30 minutes. What's the speed in miles per hour? So in 60 minutes, well, it would go double this distance. It would go 8/5. So that's 1 and 3/5. That's 1.6. So I guess 1.6 miles per hour. Okay, that one was much simpler than the previous question. Number 3, Whole Foods almonds are $15 per pound. They want to make a 20% profit. What would you pay for 1 pound of nuts? Okay, so I kind of can read this question two ways. Are they saying they want to make 20%, so they're going to charge 20% more than this? Or they're going to charge 20% less than this? Either way, how do you find 20% quickly? Well, the easiest way is to find 10% quickly and then multiply that by 2. So if you have $15, what is 10%? Well, 10% is just moving the decimal over one spot. So if your total is 15, 10% is going to be 1.5. So 10% is 1.5. So that means 20% is double that. 20% is going to be 3. So if they want to make a 20% profit, they're going to charge $18 per pound. They got it for $15 per pound. They want to make 20% profit. So I am going to be paying $18 a pound in order for Whole Foods to get their 20% profit. Okay. Last year, a winter coat cost $175. This year, the price is marked up 15%. What's the new price? Okay, so last year, at 100%, the coat was $175. This year, it's 15% more. At 115, what's the cost? Okay, again, I think the easiest way to solve these is think about what is 10%. 10% of 175 is 17.5. Right? And then what's 5%? Well, 5% is going to be half half of 17.5. So what's half of this? We'll just divide it by 2. This goes in 8 times 16, subtract 1.5, decimal, 7, 14, subtract 1, bring down another 0, 5. So 15% is going to be our 10%, which was 17.5, plus our 5% of 8.75. And we add those together to get 26.25 as our 15%. And then we need to add 26.25 and our original cost of $175 to get $201.25. And this will be the new cost of the jacket this year. Okay. So again, we found this value by finding 10% and then cutting it in half to find 5% and then adding 10% and 5% to get 15% and then adding the 15% to the original price to get the new cost. Okay. So yes, these problems are getting longer, more steps, but hey, that's math. Okay, let's continue onward. Miss Alfred's bill from Guadalajara is $15.50 before tax. How much is a 15% tip for this bill? Okay, well, what's a 10% tip? A 10% tip would just be moving the decimal over. A 10% tip would be $1.55. Okay, what is a 15% tip. Well, we need to find 5%. So just like the last problem, we're going to divide this by 2. 2 goes into 15 7 times. Again, goes in 7 times. And so here we're dealing with money. So we see that, so we would probably round this up, right? So we see 5% is 70.775, but we're dealing with money. We don't have money to the thousandths percent, unless you're dealing with Bitcoin, but we're not. We're dealing with US dollar here. So we're going to round this up to 78 cents. And so we have $1.55 was 10% plus 78 cents for 5% more. 5 plus 8 is 13. We have another 13 here. So a 15% tip would be an additional $2.33. All right, number 6. Find the percent decrease from $60 to $40. Round to the nearest percent if needed. Okay, so this is a percent decrease. So that means $60 was 100%, and we went to $40. What is this new percent? So to some people, you'll know this answer immediately. Pretty sure it's 66 2/3. But if you don't, we'll just cross multiply. 100 times 40 is 4,000. 60 times x, 60x. And then you divide the two. Okay, 4,000 divided into 60. We can cancel one of these zeros. 6 goes into 40. 6 times. 36. 4, bring down your 0. 6 times. And you can see that this will repeat forever. So 66.6 repeating. So round to the nearest percent if needed. So 66.6 to the nearest percent, that would be 67%. Find the percent decrease. It asked for the percent decrease. So it went from 100 to 67. So the percent decrease is 33%. Okay, so always answer exactly what it asked for. It asked for the percent decrease. It went from 100 to 67. So the percent decrease means it went down 33%. Okay, number 7. Find the new amount if originally you had 200 cupcakes and they were decreased by 75%. So 200 was 100%. And if it decreased by 75%, that means we have 25% left. How many cupcakes is that? 200 times 25 is 5,000. And then divided by 100 is 50. We will have 50 cupcakes left. And that makes sense. 50, 100, 150, 200. Yep, that makes sense. So we have 50 cupcakes left. Okay, I'm trying to go through these pretty quickly. So if you're not following all along, you can rewatch these problems. Try to solve them with me. Hopefully, when you do them on your own, along with me solving them, you'll be able to get them. I am aware that this is a long video. I am aware that this is a lot, but hey, this is your semester review, so it's gonna be what it's gonna be, right? I'm really proud of you guys for following and keeping up with all this. It is a lot. It is a lot. I mean, I've been doing 7th grade math for just today, this has already been an hour and a half going on. Crazy. Okay, number 8. The number of M&Ms in a bag was increased from 24 to 48. What's the percent increase? Okay, so it doubled. If it doubled, then that's 100% increase. So this isn't even, if you double something, that's 100% increase. Okay. Rebecca and Amy are driving to LSU together. They look at a map to find out how far they have to drive. Rebecca measures the distance to be 4.5 inches. How many miles do they have to drive if the map scale is 1 inch to 50 miles? Okay, if 1 inch is to 50 miles, and then that means 450 is to X, then you just count up. I would just say that's 50, 100, 150, 200. Okay, that's 4 inches, and then half an inch would be 25. So the total is 225 miles. A model airplane is built to scale if half an inch is 11 feet. If the model plane is 15 inches long, find the length of the actual plane. Well, how do you go from 0.5 to 15? That's a multiplier of 30, right? And so 11 times 30 is what? What's 11 times 30? Well, this is going to be 330. So the plane is 330 feet. Okay. Miss Gless has 88 lunches in her ice chest. 25% contain ham sandwiches. Which of the following is the number of lunches that contain a ham sandwich? Okay, so what's 25% of 88? That's 22, okay? 25% it's like a quarter, right? So you're going to fourth it. What's a fourth of 88? What's 88 divided by 4? That's 22. So 22 of these sandwiches are going to have ham. Ashley is 6 feet tall and is standing next to a flagpole. Ashley is casting a shadow half a foot in length, while the flagpole is casting a shadow 8 feet in length. How tall is the flagpole? Okay, Ashley is pretty tall. So her being 6 foot tall is to half a foot. So the flagpole is how tall, and it cast an 8-foot shadow. How do you go from half to 8? This is a times 16 multiplier. So this will also be a times 16 multiplier. Okay, what is 16 times 6? 6 times 6 is 36. 96. So the flagpole is 96 feet tall. Okay. Kathleen is creating a triangular piece for a quilt she is making. The triangle will consist of 2 pieces of fabric. Which proportion could be used to find the height of the smallest triangle? So you always compare like to like. So 12 is to X as 16 is to 10. 12 is to X as 16 is to 10. Okay? Now, sometimes you can write it a little bit differently than this. These are using fractions, but still, notice that the 12 and 10 are opposites. Okay? Where are our 12 and 10 opposites? They're only opposites here. Okay? Here we have 12 and 10 next to each other on all of these. That's not what we want. We want 12 and 10 to be opposites. Okay. Number 14. Which angle is not similar to triangle ABC above? Again, similar means same angle measure and same proportions. Okay? So A and B have different angle measures. Here, my phone. 1 second, guys. All right, sorry about that, guys. Coming back to it, number 14, which of the following is not a similar triangle? For similar triangles, again, we want all our angles to be, angle measures to be the same and all our sides to be proportional. A and B, they didn't have the angle markings to indicate that they were the same, so we can just mark those out. For C and D, we need to be looking at the side lengths to see if they are proportional. So how do you go from 12 to 6? You divide by 2. 8 divided by 2 is 4. 16 divided by 2 is 8. So we can already see that C is similar. And look at this question. Which triangle is not similar? Not similar. Okay, so maybe I did some markings too quickly. Okay, look at here. Number B, or letter B, whatever. We only have 2 of the angles marked, but hey, if 2 of the angles are marked, then that implies that the third one is marked, or that implies that the third one is also going to be equivalent. Okay. Okay, also 12 divided by 4 is 3, 8 divided by 4 is 2, 16 divided by 4 is 4. So B is also similar. C is similar. So now we're down between A and D. How do you go from 12 to 6? You divide by 2. 8 divided by 2 is not 5, it's 4. So A is not similar. A is not similar. And we can kind of just figure from that D is similar. I'm not going to deal with these decimals. That sounds not fun right now. but what would it be? 8 times 7/10 is 56. 12 times 7/10 is 84. 16 times 7/10 is 11.2. So D is similar. So the only one that's not similar is A. This is, again, read your questions carefully so you answer them correctly. You know, I would have gotten that one wrong if I didn't catch myself. Number 15. Clifford drew a triangle as shown below. He wants to enlarge the drawing proportionally so that the longest side will be 23 inches. What will be the length of the shortest side? Okay, if he enlarges this such that this is 23 inches, then that's a multiplier of 2.3. The shortest side is currently 6, so 6 times 2.3 is what? 6 times 3 is 18, 12, 13, put your decimal. So our shortest side will be 13.8 inches. Number 16. Charlie found a logo on a poster that he wanted to put on his business card. The logo of the poster is a rectangle that is 12 inches wide and 18 inches long. He wants the business card logo to have a width of 2/3 of an inch. How long should the logo be on the business card if it's similar? Okay, so 12 is our width, and it's similar to 2/3. And then 18 is our length. What's the proportion? Okay, so here again we can cross multiply and solve. What is 2/3 of 18? 18 times 2/3, that's going to be 12. Okay. And then 12, so 12 equals 12x, and so x equals 1. So our answer is going to be A. 12 is to 2/3 as 18 is to 1. If triangles ADE and ABC are shown in the figure are similar, what is the value of x? Okay, so this big triangle is similar to this small triangle. So 15 is to x as this side plus this side, as 5 is to 3. Okay, so then you cross multiply. 15 times 3 is 45. 5 times 9 is 45, so x equals 9. A. Solve for x in the triangle below. Okay, so this full length is 12. The length of our shorter triangle is 9, so 12 is to 9, as our full length is 10, and our shorter length is x. So then you just cross multiply and solve. So you have 90 equals 12x. You divide both sides by 12. And what do you get? You're going to get a decimal. So 90 divided by 12, that is 5. times 7 is 84. Then you subtract, you have 60 left over. So 7.5. Okay, so x is 7.5 centimeters. 19, look at this. We're almost done with section 4, or unit 4. Woohoo! Wow. We're making a great time, guys. Great time. Only been going for 2 hours. Wow. Solve the missing side. D. Okay. So we have 20 meters is to D. So 20 is to D. As what is to what? As, well, this whole thing is 70. So D is our longer, so 70 is going to be over here under D. And then 40 is our smaller triangle. Okay. So D is going to be 35, I believe. 20 times 70. Well, 20 times 70 is 1400. And then we'll divide by 40. Let's cut off a 0. 4 goes into 14 3 times. 12, 2, 0, 5. Yep, 35. Okay, always good to double check. Sometimes you do quick math in your head and you think you get the right answer and then you don't. So good to double check. Even in this case, we got it right regardless. Okay, number 20. A group of college students were surveyed to determine whether they like either basketball or football. The ratio of students who prefer basketball is 5 to 4. 32 students were surveyed prefer football. What is the total number of students who participated in the survey? So 32 liked football. Football is on this loser side, I guess. So how do you go from 4 to 32? That's a multiplier of 8. 5 times 8 is 40. So the total number of students is 40 who liked baseball plus 32 who liked football is a total of 72. B. Okay, Unit 5, linear relationships. All right, only 3 more pages of this. Let's knock it out, guys. 3 more pages. Let's get rolling. Oh my goodness gracious. So an Uber charges 30 cents every mile plus $3 service charge. Write an equation for this situation. So $3 plus 30 cents every mile. Okay, that's our equation. Find the slope and y-intercept from the graph and interpret their meaning. Okay, so the y-intercept is what? That's where it hits the y-axis. So our y-intercept is here at 120. Remember, our equation for lines is y equals mx plus b, where b is our y-intercept and m is our slope. So far we have y equals mx plus 120, and now we need to figure out our slope. What is our slope? Well, let's zoom in on our graph a little bit more, and let's find 2 intersection points. We have another one here. So what's our rise and our run? We went from 120 to 125, so we rose 5. And then how far did we go? We went from 0 to 10. So rise over run, that's 5 over 10. So that's a slope of 1/2. So our equation is y equals 1/2 x plus 120. Very interesting. Okay, and then interpret the meaning. Well, this says the number of miles and total cost. So we are going to pay $120 up front, and then we're also going to pay 50 cents for every mile we drive. So if we drive 10 miles, we're going to pay an extra $5. So this half, really, maybe since we're dealing with money, we should write it as 50 cents. So we're paying 50 cents per mile plus the initial $120 rental cost. Okay, number 3, Nathan wanted to buy apples on sale for $1.20 for 15 apples. Write an equation to represent this situation. he wanted to buy apples on sale for $1.20 for 15 apples. $1.20 times 15. No, for 15. $1.20 gets you 15 apples. I'm kind of confused about this one, guys. Oh, what? What? 120. $1.20. Maybe it's maybe we can say this. 15 times the cost of the apples equals $1.20. 15 apples times the cost of one apple equals $1.20. Okay. The following graph shows the relationship between weeks and money saved. Write an equation to represent this. So again, all equations are in y equals mx plus b form, where b is our y-intercept. Here we're starting at 0, 0, so we don't have a y-intercept, so we just need to be paying attention to slope. So here we already have 2 points for us. We need to be looking for our rise over our run. So we go from 40 to 60. It's always important to look at units, okay? This middle one is 60. We're going from 40 to 60. So we're rising 20, and then we're running. We're going from 10 to 15. Okay, always pay attention to units. This is how they trick you up. So our slope is 20 over 5, which is 4. So our equation is going to be y equals 4x. Again, plus 0 because we don't have a y-intercept. And I know I'm going fast, but you guys are smart. So again, you can rewind and re-listen to me and hopefully get it if you don't get it the first time. And again, write down in the comments down below. I'll try to respond to you as quickly as I can about further help, further explanation. So Jimmy uses the table below to find out how much money he's making, how much money he makes working. Find Jimmy's constant of proportionality. This is just what constant proportionality is, just like your slope. Okay, so if this is our x and this is our y, okay, for our table, remember that slope is rise over run, which is also change in y over change in x. So our constant of proportionality is how are we going from 17 to 34? This is a change of 17. And what's the change of 2 to 4? That's a change of 2. Okay, so our constant of proportionality is 17 over 2. You can also think of this as 8.5. So both of these are valid. Maybe Jimmy's getting paid $8.50 per hour he works is how you would think about this. So graph this equation. Number 6, y equals 2x minus 3. So this minus 3 is our y-intercept. So we're going down 1, 2, 3. This is where we're going to cross our axis. And then our slope is 2. That means we rise 2 over 1. Rise 2 over 1. Rise 2 over 1. Rise 2 over 1. This is our slope here. So this is what this graph is going to look like. Okay? Graph this equation. So here we have a negative slope. So negative slopes go this way. Okay? If you imagine Slope Man here and he's walking, a positive slope is where he'll walk up to heaven, and negative slope is where he'll walk and then hit his head and fall down to hell. Okay? So a negative slope is going to be just be aware of that. So again, we don't have a y-intercept. This is like a plus 0. So we're going to cross the origin. And then we have a rise 3, run 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So just rise over run. We're just counting 3, 4. So this is a slope of negative 3/4. Okay. Number 8, write the equation from this graph. So what's our y-intercept? Our y-intercept is negative 6. What's our slope? Okay. What's our rise over run? Rise is 1, 2, 3. Run 1. So 3 over 1 is our slope. So our equation is y equals mx plus b, where b is our y-intercept and m is our slope. We just found our slope to be 3, and we found our y-intercept to be negative 6. So our equation is y equals 3x minus 6. Number 9. Frank and his family drove 6 hours every day during a road trip. What graph best represents y? The total number of hours driven in x days. Okay, well, it's going to be going up. It's not going to stay the same. It's not going to be going down. He's driving 6 hours every day. So at one day, at 1, it should be at 6. This is at 12. No, at 1 is at 6. At 2 will be at 12. So B is right. Number 10. Use the table to write an equation. So again, we have x over y. We want our change in, we want to find our slope. How do you go from 5 to 9? That's a change of 4. How do you go from 1 to 2? That's a change of 1. This triangle means change. It's a fancy Greek letter called delta, means change. And so our slope is change in y over change in x. So this is 4 over 1. So our slope is 4. So far we have y equals 4x plus b, where b is our y-intercept. And here, look, we added 1, we added 4. So if we subtract 1, if we had a 0 column, what would be here? Well, we added 1, we added 4. If we subtract 1, we're going to subtract 4. So at 0, we'll be at 1. So our y-intercept, our b, is just 1. So this is 4x plus 1. Number 11. Tell whether the following are proportional or non-proportional. Okay. So this 133 is throwing me off because it's an odd number. And these all look like they would be, well, okay. Maybe that doesn't matter at all, though. Here, let me think about it. So from 21 to 42, that's a change of 21. From 2 to 4, that's a change of 2. So our slope here would be 21 over 2, or 10 and a half. So if we went back to, it would be 0, 0. So this is 21x is what this is claiming to be. What is 14? What's 14 times 21? 14 times 21. No. Be times 10 and a half. Well, 14 times 10 and a half is not 133. Okay. 2 times 10 and a half is 21. 4 times 10 and a half is 42. 8 times 10 and a half is 84. 14 times 10 and a half is 147, not 133. So this is, so 11 is non-proportional. Okay. Now I do need some help with these guys, proportional versus non-proportional. So my instinct for 12 is that it's proportional because you just have a standard slope. However, you have a y-intercept. This is going to be starting up here. It doesn't start at the origin. And I'm pretty sure if it doesn't start at the origin, that automatically means it's non-proportional. So I'm going to say that this is also non-proportional for 12. But again, if I'm wrong on this, let me know down in the comments. I'm not too clear on this one. Again, if we're checking out proportionality, proportional versus non-proportional, that just means from the graph, does it pass through the origin? And is it a straight line? If it meets those two requirements, it's proportional. If it doesn't, then it's not. And so 13 is proportional. It's the origin, straight line. So I'm going to say 12 is non-proportional because we have a y-intercept. 11 is non-proportional because the slope isn't right for the 14. Number 14. What do we have here? We have, this is a change in 4, and then this should be a plus 8. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, so this is a change in 1, change in 2. This should be change in 6. And again, the 10 and the 30 isn't, well, and if we went backwards to 0, if we had 0 and this 4 carried over, we would have a y-intercept of -1. So that still is that doesn't cross through 0, 0. So I'm going to say 14 is non-proportional. So help me out with these, guys. I'm not familiar with proportional, non-proportional. Again, I'm pretty sure it means pass through the origin and a straight line. But yeah, this passes through the origin, but this one's screwed up. This one doesn't pass through the origin. This doesn't pass through the origin. So I think 13 is the only proportional one, but double check me on that. Number 15. Every 2.5 hours, a machine produces 150 baskets. What is the unit rate of this proportional relationship? Okay. So 2.5 hours is to 150 baskets. So 1 hour is to how many baskets? So that would be 60. X equals 60. Right? That looks right. Yep. Okay. Again, you just cross multiply and solve. You do have 150 divided by 2.5, which is 60. Find the constant of proportionality and then write the equation for the relationship. Again, constant of proportionality, that just means the slope. Okay, so look for 2 points on the graph that you can definitively say, so this is a good spot. This looks the best to me. So here we have 0, 0, and here we have 4, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. So we have rise 4, run 18. I'm sorry, rise 18, run 4. So 18 over 4 is our slope. 18 over 4 is 9/2, which is 4.5. So this is 4.5. So 4.5 is our constant of proportionality. So predict how many bushels of fruit are there after 15 hours. Well, we'll take our slope and then multiply it by 15 to find the answer. 5 times 5 is 25. 5 times 4 is 20. 22. Put a 0. 5, 4, 5, 7, 6. Decimal over here. So 67 and a half. You'll have 67 and a half bushels of fruit after 15 hours. Okay, guys, this is the last one. Great job. So write an equation to represent this table. Okay, so again, an equation is y equals mx plus b, where b is your y-intercept. Y-intercept, if we're looking at a graph, just means where it crosses the y-axis. It crosses the y-axis whenever your x value is 0. So here we're given our x as 0. We have our y value is 4. So this 4 here is our y-intercept. So far we have y equals mx plus 4. Now we need to find our slope. What's our slope? Our slope is our change in y over change in x. So how do you go from 4 to 16? That's a change of 12. And how do you go from 0 to 2? That's a change of 2. So our slope is change in y over change in x, or rise over run. So this is 12 over 2, which is 6. So our slope is 6. So our equation and answer to the last problem is y equals 6x plus 4. Woohoo! All right, guys. There you have it. You have this full semester 1 review, all of it done. There you go. Hope it's useful. Thank you so much for reviewing, and thank you for, helping me with those few questions. I had questions about the proportionality. Remind me down in the comments about all that. Again, I hope this is very helpful. Good luck to you on your test. Love all of my viewers. Thank you again so much. And until the next time, I'll see you then. Bye-bye for now.